Okay, we're in the middle of the sugya of Shmiras HaLashon. The Chavetz Chaim Chusn Yugen Aleinu is watching over us because of the way that we are watching our tongues. Be'ez Hashem. Last time we spoke about the Akdom, an introduction into the idea of how chomor, how severe these halachot are. It's very, very serious, as we mentioned last time, because at the end of the day, this causes many of our various to go up to Shemaim and be mentioned by the prosecutor, which is a very, very dangerous thing. Let us move on. The Gemara tells us that the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed because of the sinas chinam, which was obviously caused, as the Chavetz Chaim writes in the Akdama, because of Loshon Hora. That when a person speaks Loshon Hora, it's because he has sinas chinam. It's because he obviously doesn't like the people around him, and that causes him to speak Loshon Hora. And that's the reason why the Beis HaMikdash, was destroyed. By the way, the Gemara tells us that in every generation that the Beis HaMikdash was not rebuilt, then that means it's that the Aveira that caused it to be destroyed is still being done. Which basically means, according to the Gemara, if the Beis HaMikdash is not built today, we are still guilty of the same Aveira that they were guilty of that caused the Beis HaMikdash to be destroyed. We are continuing it not to be rebuilt. Which means we have the koyach through this Gavaldig Halacha and through the Shmira that we will try to watch ourselves on to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. Okay, that is what's going on. The Chavetz Chaim brings a medrash in Dvarim Rabbah, where the medrash says that when a person speaks Loshon Hora, the Rabbeinu Shalom Chas V'Shalom will remove the Shechina from him. Now that's a very dangerous thing. Nobody wants the Shechina to be removed from him. We want to live with the Shechina. We want to live with Hashem. And therefore, says the medrash, a guarantee to have the Shechina to be removed, Rav, is not to watch your mouth, is to not be careful what you say. That's why it's very, very important. Now, the Chavetz Chaim asked a question. Chavetz Chaim wants to know, why is it, Menachem, why is it that this is one of the most worst averas that you can probably encounter, but yet people are so easygoing with it? Of course people try, and people don't want to speak Loshon Hora. I'm not saying people want to speak Loshon Hora, but why isn't it something like, it should be like a lightning bolt. No, that's Loshon Hora, I can't say that. No, it's not that way. It's like, oh, is it Loshon Hora? I don't know. Maybe it's okay. I think it's mutter, right? I think if I'll be classed with people, then it's okay. If everyone knows about it, it's okay. Then we come up with tayeles, million that we speak about. It's so chomor. It's like you're walking on a tightrope between Twin Towers Zatzal number 1 and Twin Towers Zatzal number 2, where you might die. Well, that's what's happening over here. The Chavetz Chaim is telling us that this is one of the worst averas that can exist in Klal Yisrael. We don't have a Beis HaMikdash. By the way, Raf, if we don't have a Beis HaMikdash, the tzoros that we go through is mainly because of that. Because if we had a Beis HaMikdash, we'd have the Urim v'Tumim, we'd have the Avodah, which means we have the Karbanis. The Karbanis are a kapara for Klal Yisrael. So therefore, if we don't have all of these things, we suffer with much of what we suffer with in our Golas. So many of the tzoros that Klal Yisrael are going through, Ad Hayom Hazeh, and we don't have to look far, there's many, many tzoros, is because we don't have a Beis HaMikdash. So it should be something that's so basic. Should be a basic thing. In other words, how many people that grow up from religious in normal homes have a real taiva to eat chaza? A real taiva. I don't know. Right? I don't know if it, does it even taste nice? I have no idea. The Medrash tells us that we're meant to say, I really want to have it, but I'm not allowed because Hashem doesn't allow me to. But the point is, you don't have a taiva for it. A Loshon Hora is like, it's almost like a taiva. It's a schmuck to say some good information, no? What? Tip of your tongue. But why? That's the shaila. Why is it that way? That's the Chavetz Chaim's kasha. You with me? Asha, yeah? I can't hear. No, it should be everyone. All of Klal Yisrael should be so careful in this. Why is it not that way? Yeah? Menachem, what's pshat? So the Chavetz Chaim has two different pshatim. The Chavetz Chaim says there are two ways the Satan, the Yetzer Hara, gets you. Number one, he says to you, it's true, it's not Loshon Hora. Which is basically one of the first halachas that the Chavetz Chaim teaches. For those of you that are doing it, one of the very first halachas is Loshon Hora applies even if it's true. Because if it's not true, what is it? Rechilas, which is even worse. That's a different sugya, Zev. So Loshon Hora is 1,000% true. You're saying the truth. Oh, but the Yetzer Hara gets you and says, well, it's true anyway, so it's okay. 1 second. And number two, the Satan will get you in another way. And I'll say to you like this. There's no way that you're not going to speak Loshon Hora. We all know you're going to speak Loshon Hora. So you may as well just give up. Give up the fight, because you're not going to win anyway. So the Chofetz Chaim, those are the two things that the Yetzer Hara basically gets a person on, and we have to realize to try and stay away from that. Just by the way, just to mention one thing, we all are familiar with the episode that happened in Monsey, a bunch of years ago, where someone that was selling treif meat, and it affected not just the people buying it, people eating in the houses that people bought it, the utensils, the oven, all sorts of things, right? Now, I'm not getting involved in the case because I don't know anything about it, but I imagine whoever was responsible for that was responsible for many, many averos. Now, averos of people eating treif, averos of kalim being, the ramifications are wild, and how far it went and how many people were affected was unreal. You know what? Make the calculation. You could say one sentence of Loshon Hora that will be worse than the guy who was selling treif meat in Monsey. You will be doing more averas with your one sentence of Loshon Hora by speaking against a community or a town or a country or a type of people or whatever it may be, and you'll do worse than that guy. So there we are, like, oh, that guy, my gosh, he's terrible, and if he would ever come near me, I'd kill him, or whatever it is. But yet, we do the same thing so easily. We don't realize the effects of what this is. I told you once before, a bocher that was over 30 called me up. He had trouble getting shidduchim. So obviously we were trying to figure out different things, but one of the things he told me that he thinks he had a problem with the shidduchim is because someone spread bad rumors about him, which wasn't even true. And he felt that every time he met a shadchan or met with someone, they always seemed to know that information. So obviously he got around. It was totally untrue, it was totally false, but yet it caused him so much damage. So whoever spread it, I don't know, we don't know, he doesn't know. But whoever it was caused untold damage of a boy not being able to get married for a year. Baruch Hashem, now he's married with children, Baruch Hashem. But at the time it was tremendously hard for him. Now, where did that all come from? It all came from Loshon Hora. We don't realize what this can do. I'll tell you a Mordecai Meiser, by the way. I've said this before, but this is one of my favorite Meisers in Hilchos Shmiras HaLashon in the Chofetz Chaim. Listen to this. I heard this from the person who was a Dayan in the Beis Din that we are discussing the story. He was there at the time. He told me the Meiser goes like this. He said there was a fight that broke out between two neighbors about an air conditioning unit. Now, in Eretz Yisrael, there's always shilas of living in an apartment building, because everyone lives in an apartment building, and you often have shilas of noise, you have shilas of leaks, that's a big one, something leaks into someone who has to pay, all sorts of shilas. So this was an air conditioning unit that was fitted for one particular neighbor, and they put it next to the window of the other neighbor, again, which often happens, because the windows are together, whatever. Now, the other neighbor was very upset because the noise you hear from the unit is quite annoying. So they were basically fighting backwards and forwards. They decided they're going to Beis Din, right? The Dayan that it was at the Beis Din, sitting at the Beis Din at the time, I heard this story from. So there they are, they're fighting in Beis Din, two husbands, right? The two husbands of each apartment are standing there, and they're fighting with each other. Like, this one's saying, you put it there, and this one's saying, well, there's nowhere else to put it, or this is the only place to put it, or it doesn't make a noise, or whatever it is. They're fighting backwards and forwards. At one point, it got really heated up. Like, the fight became like a whole heated up thing. And one guy says to the other guy, listen here, if you don't get rid of that air conditioning unit, my wife has a group of the neighborhood that come to my house every single week, about 50, 60 ladies that come every single week to my house, and they go through the halachas of Shmiras HaLashon. I'm going to tell all of those ladies what you are doing to me by not taking down the air conditioning unit. And the Dayan is sitting there thinking, are you serious? During a Chofetz Chaim get-together of learning the halachas, you're going to get up proudly and speak Loshon Hora? But the answer is, we don't even chab. We don't even realize it. Half the times when we say things, we don't even realize we're speaking Loshon Hora. That's the problem. By the way, that's what we're doing right now. We are not going to learn all of Hilchos Shmiras HaLashon. Baruch Hashem, many of you guys are learning it inside the Sefer. We'll learn a little bit, but we're not going to learn all of it. It's like when I learn Hilchos Brachas with the yeshiva in the morning, right? So one guy came over, he's like, I'm so confused. Do I wash? Do I not wash? Is it this? Is it that? Is it that? I said, you want to know something? Yes, I try to teach it as clear as possible, and if you do chazor in the shir, for sure you'll get it clearer. But even if you don't, and even if you don't know every halacha, but you'll know what the problems are. You'll know what the issues are. You'll know what's a shaila. And that for me is gavaldik. Because if you know what's a shaila, hopefully you have someone to ask. It's the same thing over here. The problem we have with Shmiras HaLashon is we don't chap half the things we say. Loshon Hora. We don't even realize. So we do it without even realizing it. If we would realize it, we'd be like, oh, that's not nice. And if we realize how chomer it was, and realize the repercussions and the ripple effects and everything else, how things can spread like wildfire. Do you chap that you can ruin someone's career? You can ruin someone's shana bias. You can ruin someone's chance of getting a shidduch or their entire parnasa. Why? From one sentence you say, which might be true or might not be true, but it's irrelevant because you didn't need to say it. Right? A simple idea, the Chofetz Chaim discussed this, of a guy that came to work for you as a painter. or a plumber or electrician, and suddenly your neighbor says to you, oh, I have a problem, is he good? Rubbish. Yeah, he talks a lot, doesn't get anything done, whatever it is. Now, it depends. Sometimes you need to say that because it's lo te'eles, because you don't want the guy to waste money on someone that's taka, a waste of time. But in a case where that's not the case, and you're still just messing around, he was good, you just didn't like him, or he took a bit too long, or whatever it is, so, and it's not lo te'eles, that you're ruining his whole career, because he's not going to use him. Maybe the next guy's going to ask him, he's going to tell him not to use him also. Before you know it, the guy's got out of a panos, out of a job, can't support his family, because of one innocent, so to speak, comment that you made. If we would realize the repercussions